G'day everyone, Count Lurchalot here and welcome to Season 2 of My Little Pony in Lukewarm Television. I'm going to do this as a two-parter since the season premiere was a two-parter. Let's start with The Return of Harmony Part 1. The episode starts with the Cutie Mark Crusaders on a field trip with their class to the world-famous Canterlot Sculpture Garden. Through their teacher Miss Cheerilee, they learn what all the sculptures represent. We also get another series name drop.
Alright, my little ponies!
Before long, they come across a statue of something known as a Draconequus. They have the head of a pony and a body made up of all sorts of things. Miss Cheerilee asks the class what they think this creature represents, and the Cutie Mark Crusaders get into a big argument about it. Apple Bloom thinks it means confusion, Sweetie Belle thinks it means evil, and Scootaloo thinks it means chaos. Miss Cheerilee is able to break up the fight when she mentions that to a degree, they are all right, as the statue represents Discord. No, not the social media platform, just Discord in general. And then Miss Cheerilee punishes them because she feels they've shown so much discord that they have to each write an essay to explain it. That's why you don't get into fights at school. As the class begins to leave, the statue appears to be cracking, which indicates danger is about to befall Equestria. It even starts laughing maniacally. After the opening credits, we cut to Ponyville, where the town seems to be getting hit with a storm of cotton candy clouds, and I mean that literally. They're pink, they're sticky, and they taste like cotton candy. Not only that, they appear to be moving on their own, without interference from Pegasi. They even start raining on their own, even though it's not supposed to rain until the next day. What's most bizarre though, is that the rain is chocolate milk. To make matters worse, the corn on Applejack's farm is popping into popcorn, and the apples on her trees are growing to great sizes. At first I thought, how is that so bad, but now the apples are too heavy for the tree to support. Then the wildlife starts eating the apples, and then they transform into crazy creatures themselves. Twilight arrives, saying that she's learned a new spell that'll fix everything. Unsurprisingly, however, it fixes nothing. And that's hilarious. But then she moves on to Plan B, and asks Rainbow Dash to round up all the clouds into one spot. She then asks Applejack to bring them down to Earth. I thought only Pegasi could manipulate weather, but I guess since these are cotton candy clouds, the rules are a bit different. Although, funnily enough, Pinkie is just disappointed she gets no more chocolate milk rain. Fluttershy then uses reverse psychology to convince the animals to eat the clouds, much to Pinkie Pie's disappointment. At first they think their problems are resolved, but then they get a message from Princess Celestia showing that their problems are only just beginning. They head to Canterlot and they ask Princess Celestia what's going on. Princess Celestia then explains that an old foe of hers has returned, his name being Discord. That's right, the statue you saw before, not only does it represent Discord, it's literally called Discord. Now that's a villain! Celestia explains that Discord is the spirit of disharmony, and before he was defeated by Celestia and Luna, he ruled Equestria in a state of eternal unrest and unhappiness. Combining their powers and the element of harmony, they were able to turn Discord into stone. So yeah, that wasn't just a statue you saw before. Furthermore, because Luna and Celestia are no longer connected to the elements, the spell has been broken. She then takes them to Canterlot Tower, where she keeps the elements, and she needs them to use the elements again to defeat Discord. Pinkie, however, doesn't see what the problem is, because she actually likes the idea of living in a world with chocolate milk rain. Typical Pinkie Pie, am I right? Twilight, however, tells Celestia not to listen to her, and they all agree to use the elements to defeat Discord. Celestia opens the tower, revealing the case that holds the elements. Unfortunately, the elements are gone. They then hear a maniacal laugh in the sky, and Celestia determines that this is Discord and he is the one that stole the elements. She demands he show himself, but he just laughs at her. Discord makes the images of himself come to life and he starts taunting Celestia. Celestia demands to know what he's done with the elements. Discord says that he just borrowed them for a teensy bit, but in reality he stole them. It's then revealed that not only does Discord know the name of all the main characters, but also the elements they represent. They all proclaim that they will forever represent their elements, but Discord says he'll see about that. Celestia, however, loses her patience and demands Discord tell them where the elements are. Discord agrees, but will only do it his way being through a riddle. His riddle includes the following. Can you figure it out?
To retrieve your missing elements, just make sense of this change of events. Twists and turns are my master plan. Then find the elements back where you began.
The line twists and turns makes Twilight believe that Discord has hid the elements in the palace labyrinth. Celestia agrees and wishes them good luck. We also get another series name drop.
Good luck, my little ponies.
They immediately head to the labyrinth, and Rainbow Dash thinks she'll be able to find them easily because she'll just fly up and look for them from the sky. However, then Discord reveals he has the power to remove Pegasi wings, turning Rainbow Dash into a humble Earth pony. He then does the same to Fluttershy and removes the horns of Twilight and Rarity. Discord then reveals he did this because he doesn't want any cheating in the game, which includes no wings and no magic. Sadly, he couldn't take anything from the Earth ponies. The second rule is that every pony has to play or the game is over and he wins. He then wishes them good luck before disappearing. Knowing that they can overcome anything if they stick together, they bravely head in. However, then Discord trolls them again by immediately separating them. Twilight manages to calm them down and tells them to just all meet in the center and they'll regroup there. They agree and they all head off. All except Fluttershy, however, who is too scared to move. Now separated, Discord picks them off, one by one. He doesn't remove them from the game, he just turns them into the exact opposite of who they are. Applejack is the first to fall when Discord baits her with moving apples, where a bunch of apples then fall and form into 3 different creatures. They reveal themselves to be the keepers of the Grove of Truth. The trio then show Applejack a world where they have failed, and all the main characters are no longer friends. Obviously, this is all a lie manipulated by Discord. He then uses his magic to convince Applejack that sometimes a lie is easier to take than the truth. This turns Applejack into a dishonest pony, the stark contrast of her usual self. Twilight then meets up with her and asks Applejack who she was talking to, but Applejack immediately lies and says she was talking to nobody. Twilight is a bit confused by Applejack's answer, but brushes it off, knowing that Applejack wouldn't lie. The next victim is Pinkie Pie, who comes across a garden filled with smiling balloons. However, Pinkie Pie then falls in the mud and feels hurt when she hears all the balloons laughing at her. Discord appears and asks what's wrong because Pinkie Pie usually appreciates a good laugh. Pinkie says it's different because they're laughing at her, but Discord says it's hardly different because her friends laugh at her all the time. Pinkie tries to insist that her friends laugh with her, not at her, but Discord then makes her question if this is true. Discord then uses his magic to turn some of the balloons into the heads of her friends and makes them laugh at her, which Pinkie Pie doesn't like at all. Discord then uses his magic to turn Pinkie Pie into an angry, bitter person, which is the exact opposite of her usual self. Twilight and Applejack then appear, saying they're glad to see Pinkie Pie, but Pinkie just angrily asks them if that's true. This confuses Twilight, as she barely ever sees Pinkie angry. However, Twilight again brushes this off, thinking they're just getting stressed by the situation. Rarity is the next victim, and Discord uses his magic to use her love of gems to hypnotize her into becoming a greedy pony who never shares, a stark contrast to her normal generous self. She becomes so greedy that she digs the gems out of the wall, which turns out to be a large diamond. However, when the others turn up, all they see is a big rock. However, Rarity insists that it's a diamond and tells them to keep away from it because it's hers. This just confuses Twilight further. Fluttershy is the next victim. Discord tries to convince her that her friends have left her behind because they view her as weak, but Fluttershy is okay with this and just makes excuses for them and says they're understanding. However, this just annoys Discord and he forcibly turns Fluttershy from kind to cruel. The others then meet up with Fluttershy, and of course, she is just unnecessarily rude and cruel to them. The final victim is Rainbow Dash. Seeing something that resembles her cutie mark, Rainbow Dash believes she's found her element of loyalty. She then runs into Discord, who convinces her to abandon the other ponies as he manipulates her into believing that Cloudsdale will crumble without her. Discord then offers Rainbow Dash her wings and gives her a choice. Either she can stay in the game and be loyal to her friends, or abandon them and save Cloudsdale. We then cut to the other characters who witness Rainbow Dash flying away and abandoning them, showing that she's no longer loyal. The labyrinth then collapses. Discord then appears and says that because Rainbow Dash broke the no wings, no magic rule, and the rule of how they all had to play, the game is over and he has won. We also get the third series name drop of this episode.
Game's over, my little ponies.
Now declaring himself the winner, Discord says that Equestria is in for a storm of chaos. The episode ends and continues in the second episode with Discord mocking them for losing. Twilight then accuses Discord of not playing fair, but then Discord points out that he's the spirit of chaos and disharmony. Of course he's not playing fairly. Yeah, that's kind of on you, Twilight. Twilight asks how are they supposed to find the elements when he took away the labyrinth. However, this just causes Discord to laugh, as he reveals that the elements weren't actually in the labyrinth. He then brings Twilight back to the start and lets her listen to the riddle again. Discord then disappears as he's got chaos to wreak. I gotta say, Discord is a great and very entertaining villain. Twilight then goes back to trying to figure out the riddle. Meanwhile, the other main characters are causing chaos in the background with each other. This frustrates Twilight to the point where she just wants to go home. However, then she makes a connection between home and the riddle line back where you began, which makes her realize that the elements must be in Ponyville. They make it back to Twilight's library and she manages to convince them to go inside, but they keep acting more and more unlike themselves, causing themselves to become more and more grey. I think this is another good example of Twilight's autism, because while she noticed that something is wrong with her friends, she hasn't been able to grasp that they've all become the stark opposite of themselves, and I think this is due to her inability to pick up on social cues. In fact, Rarity has now become so greedy that she refuses to go in without her quote-unquote diamond, which she has even named Tom, probably the most normal name we've heard in this entire series so far. However, completely fed up, Twilight just picks up the rock for Rarity, because she knows she won't go in without it. Also, I gotta say, Twilight must have gotten a lot stronger since Season 1, because in Season 1 she struggled to push a plow, now she can carry a boulder. You must be working out, Twilight, good on you. Upon going inside, Spike asks what's going on and why the other characters are looking so grey. Twilight says don't ask, and she remains focused on trying to find the elements. I feel this is another example of Twilight being autistic because she's singularly focused on her tasks that she's failed to recognize what is really important in completing the task. I'll explain that in a bit. Twilight says that what they've got to find is the reference guide to the element of harmonies, which, as you'll remember from the second episode of Season 1, is what helped them find out more information about the elements of harmony. Spike actually finds it very quickly, but then Fluttershy steals it and decides to play keep away with it. The others play along, and they start a game of keep away with the book, which evolves into a full-on fist fight, or rather hoof fight between them. However, thankfully, Twilight manages to emerge with the book. Again, Twilight, your strength has really increased since Season 1. I'm proud of you. Twilight opens the book and manages to find the elements inside. Twilight is overjoyed because they truly were where it all began, and now with the elements they can defeat Discord, but none of the other main characters are very enthusiastic. In fact, none of them care at all and are all focused on their own thing. Twilight is sad that none of them care, but she's just annoyed that all of her friends have become complete jerks. Again, this is an example of Twilight's autism, as she doesn't seem to comprehend what has actually happened. Fed up, however, Twilight just gives each of them the necklace that represents their element, and then puts the crown on her head. However, then Spike points out an obvious problem. Rainbow Dash is missing, so not all 6 elements are in use. However, Twilight brushes this off and says, "Congratulations, Spike, you're the new Rainbow Dash," and gives him the element of loyalty. Although, I think that would be pretty befitting of Spike, because he is a very loyal dragon. Spike doesn't like the idea of impersonating Rainbow Dash, but Twilight doesn't care and says, "Let's go defeat Discord, so none of them ever have to talk again." Again, Twilight, you're missing the point of the element of harmony. That means together, not separate. The other characters enthusiastically follow outside because they don't want to talk anymore either, except for Rarity, of course, who is still focused on her quote-unquote diamond. However, this just annoys Twilight and forces her out, and now even she's calling the rock Tom. However, then she throws it outside, which is absolutely hilarious. Discord then appears and mockingly applauds them for finding the elements, even referring to them as terrifying. Twilight declares that she's solved Discord's riddle and now they're going to defeat him. She tells them to get into formation and tries to cast the same spell they used to defeat Nightmare Moon. However, since these are the elements of harmony and they clearly aren't in harmony, of course the spell doesn't work. None of the other main characters really care that it hasn't worked, and most of them just end up calling the elements garbage. Discord then sarcastically applauds them and tells them that harmony in Equestria is officially dead before skating away on the soapy road. The rest of the main characters then leave Twilight behind. However, Twilight says fine because, with friends like them, who needs enemies? And understandably, she ends up depressed from this. And because of this, Twilight turns grey as well, because even she has lost her element of magic. Twilight tells Spike to pack because they're leaving. She doesn't know where they're going, but she doesn't care right now. Spike, however, says he can't leave, as the princess has been sending him constant messages. Turns out, they're all the letters that Twilight has written to the princess since she moved to Ponyville. She then starts reading the messages, remembering all the lessons she learnt in Season 1. Remembering the magical connection Twilight has with her friends, the colour returns back to her as she regains her element of magic. Twilight finally figures out what Discord has been trying to do. He's been trying to distract them as he knows how powerful their friendships are, and he's trying to keep them from seeing it. She decides to go find her friends and turn them back into normal. She goes to Applejack first, whose farm is in complete chaos. She uneats apples and tells lies of how she was the only one truly fighting to defeat Discord. Twilight manages to get Applejack to snap out of it when she reminds her that Applejack isn't a liar. She then uses her magic to remind Applejack of all the honest acts she's done throughout the show and to remind her of how great their friendship is. Applejack admits that upon seeing a vision of them fighting, she couldn't face the truth, so she decided to lie instead. After tying Fluttershy up like a rodeo cow, they manage to turn her back into her kind self. They manage to snap Rarity out of it, who is absolutely horrified that she was obsessed over nothing but a mere boulder. We then see that they've managed to turn Pinkie Pie back into her usual giggling self. They then go to look for Rainbow Dash, but she's nowhere to be found. However, thankfully Pinkie Pie is an expert in finding Rainbow Dash, and she manages to find her lying up on a cloud. They try to convince Rainbow Dash to come down and help them defeat Discord, but she refuses to move. However, Twilight decides to move to Plan B, and they head up to Rainbow Dash using the hot air balloon we always see in the opening credits. They need Fluttershy to hold Rainbow Dash down. Meanwhile, Applejack's going to lower Twilight down with a rope so she can cast the memory spell. Fluttershy agrees, but unfortunately, now that she's her usual kind self, she asks for Rainbow Dash's permission before she does so. Although, to be fair, that is the right thing to do. However, Rainbow Dash says no and takes off with the cloud she's convinced is Cloudsdale. They then use another rope which Fluttershy grabs onto and drags them towards Rainbow Dash. Applejack then uses her lasso skills to get a hold of Rainbow Dash, but then she just takes off again, and unfortunately the rope was around Rarity's hoof, and then she and Pinkie Pie get pulled out of the balloon with her. Probably should have tied that rope to something else. Turns out that's what Pinkie was supposed to do. Rarity asks Fluttershy to fly faster, but unfortunately she can't fly fast enough to catch Rainbow Dash. Then Twilight reminds Fluttershy that if she can't catch Rainbow Dash, Discord wins, which gives Fluttershy the confidence she needs to go into maximum overdrive and actually manages to fly fast enough to catch Rainbow Dash. Then using another rope, Applejack manages to lasso Rainbow Dash again and they bring her to the ground. She resists, but thankfully with the other four main characters holding her down, Twilight is able to cast the memory spell and return her to her normal loyal self. With them back to their usual selves and donning the elements of harmony they represent, they face Discord with great courage. Twilight then tells Discord what they've learnt, that friendship isn't always easy, but there's no doubt it's worth fighting for. However, Discord continues to mock them as he still isn't afraid of them and just says, yeah, go ahead, use your magic, I'm not afraid of you, which was a big mistake because they cast the spell again, and to cut a long story short, he turns into stone. And this time, the elements of harmony are so powerful that not only are they able to use it to defeat Discord, but they are also able to use the magic to return all of Equestria back to normal. With Discord now a statue, they return to Canterlot to tell everything that's happened to the princess. Celestia once again thanks them for their services, as not only did they defeat Discord, but they also saved Equestria from eternal chaos. She even reveals a new glass window that shows the 6 friends defeating Discord. The episode ends with everyone in Equestria cheering them on, and before we finish, I just gotta say, this scene reminds me of the end of A New Hope, where Luke and Han walk out to receive medals. I don't know why, that's just immediately what I thought when I watched this scene. And that was the 2-part season premiere of Friendship is Magic Season 2. I gotta say, it's been so great rewatching this after a decade because really, I forgot how great, like, the series premiere and finals could be because they're a lot more dramatic and dark than most of the other episodes, and I really liked this 2-parter because not only was it darker, but it was also comedic. Like, we see this crazy, strange world that Discord has created, but it's dark still because it is complete and utter chaos, and I absolutely love it. But what I love even more is that the main characters were able to overcome a great obstacle and save Equestria once again, because nothing is more powerful and magical than their friendship, which is why I absolutely love this series. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next review.